we got to start the show. So I got to do like an official sounding like intro, right? Because this is a professional heckin' show. So it's got to be like,
I don't know why I'm on here then.
Hello, everyone. It's Mxiety. I am on tonight with the beautiful, wonderful, kind Blathies, who is a fellow mental health advocate. If you don't know, this show's goal is to make mental health information accessible to everyone. We do that by opening discussions about just various topics. And on our Safe Point shows, which is what you're watching, we talk to mental health professionals and advocates and other people willing to share their story. And Blathies is one such person. Everybody say, okay, that's the crowd. You can't hear the crowd, but trust me, they are screaming.
The crowd's wild.
The crowd is going wild. They are screaming. They are.
You guys, chill out.
Yeah. They're up on the bleachers. There's bleachers apparently. So yeah, this was a live studio audience. They would be going just woo.
I'm an athlete. Yeah, there's bleachers.
Yeah, obviously. There you go. Okay, thank you. Thank you also for following all the rules of improv. I appreciate it. Just saying yes and to everything I'm saying. It's working out really great for me.
I'll go along with whatever. Nothing phases me. Literally nothing. Bring it on.
We're gonna talk. So I'm gonna have Blathies introduce herself. And I also want to talk about the fact of how much we have in common, because that is the best way to understand why. Oh my God, Frankie, thank you so much. That is the best way to understand why Blathies and I get along and decided to be good friends, because we found out we have a butt ton in common. But ton first. Tell us, Blathies, introduce yourself. Tell us about yourself. Who are you?
Who are Blathies?
Who are Blathies?
Hello, my name is Montana. I go by Blathies online. I'm a full-time streamer and content creator. As cheesy as it sounds, I play cozy games, but all of my gameplay is served with a healthy, heaping portion of mental health advocacy. It's at the foundation of everything I do. It's why I started my platform, why I hope to continue to grow my platform, and yeah, I'm really excited. When I first met Em through the Bird app, I realized, wow, this is someone who's doing incredible work in the mental health space. And I was just fangirling, kind of wanted to be her, kind of wanted to be her friend, definitely walked that fine line between the two of them. And we ended up connecting. And now I'm here on the famous Mxiety show.
Oh my God.
I'm tickled.
Oh my God. What? This is supposed to be about me. You silly. No, not same. Community, behave yourselves. But okay, so number one thing that we're going to discuss is the fact that you and I apparently both are obsessed with Stitch.
Yep. Favorite movie, comfort movie.
Yes.
My fiance and I are going to go to Aulani, the Disney resort in Hawaii, for a honeymoon, because apparently they have a bunch of Lilo and Stitch themed stuff there.
They do.
I may never come back.
Yeah, I stayed in Japan. I stayed in the Lilo and Stitch room, and it was incredible. In Japan, Disneyland, it was so cool.
That is so high on my bucket list.
Oh, it was so awesome. And okay, all right. So is it because, like, do you have a different connection to it? So Lilo and Stitch is my second favorite movie, first being Tangled. But the connection I have to Lilo and Stitch is because my sister also raised me. So that's where that comes from. Like, why do you love Lilo and Stitch?
I just want to say that Nani is like the most underrated character in the entire world, not in the Disneyverse, in the entire world.
She's like forever.
She refused to date because she wanted to focus on raising Lilo. Like,
yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Anyways, I don't even know how it started, but it just became a comfort movie for me. I did not get my official diagnosis when it came to anything mental health related until I was an adult. So I spent a lot of my upbringing just kind of figuring out why I felt the way that I was feeling. And watching Lilo and Stitch became like a ritual for me. If I felt I was having the worst of days, I would put Lilo and Stitch on. And it just like, it was like a warm hug in a movie. I think that there's just, I have a really dark sense of humor, and I try to tone it down because I do have what is supposed to be a family-friendly stream. But that part where Lilo is laying down and is just like, "Leave me here to die,"
Yeah.
like, the dark humor in me was like, "This is so Disney nailed this."
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know, I think it's the perfect movie.
It is. Disney, first of all, Disney knows how to do that. And with all the problems Disney may have, like some Disney movies, just like I will forgive anything for them. They're so great. Lilo and Stitch is one of them. Also, Lilo and Stitch reminded me how much I loved Elvis, which is a whole separate conversation topic. But yeah, maybe some people are learning right now how much I freaking love Elvis as well. I've been to Graceland, fam, and it was wonderful. I cried. But okay, so we have this in common, and then we have this other thing in common that is a lot darker. Oh my God, I love Anastasia.
I'm afraid of Anastasia.
Oh wait, is it because of Bartok? Because of Rasputin?
Yeah, well, that's terrifying, but the whole movie just scared me as a child. I was afraid of
Oh.
TV, though. I have deeply rooted issues, but I've been so afraid of Anastasia. And then I was staying at my friend's house, and her family is very well off. They have a movie theater like in their home, and
Hmm.
she was like, "Oh my God, let's watch Anastasia." And this was in college,
Mhm.
and it like brought up all of these repressed
Oh
memories I had of being
no.
terrified of it. So yes, I was still afraid of it as an adult.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna get to that. Okay, so we're gonna focus on you. So you and I both had mental breakdowns that caused us to leave our jobs in marketing.
Yes.
I don't know many people. I know people do leave marketing because they're like, I can't do this anymore. I don't know how many people then go, I'm gonna go on Twitch and talk about mental health. Talk about things in common. Like that's kind of heckin' wild.
Like our trajectory just being exactly the same, like mental breakdown, content creation.
Yeah, like, oh, obviously when you have a mental break, that's the next thing. Like that's not the next thing you do. I don't think that's how it's supposed to be, but here we are. Yeah. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Not me. But yeah, so I guess if you can give us a little bit of background and tell us your story, I would love to hear it.
Yes. So do you want my background as far as my ad agency nervous breakdown went?
I guess as far as you want to tell the story of like why did you start talking about mental health on
Oh,
Twitch?
shish kebabs. All right.
That one.
Well, let's
Yeah.
rewind. I will give a brief content warning. There's a lot. There's some triggering things that are going to come up related to addiction and suicide. So if any of those things make you uncomfortable, I'll let Em take that disclaimer from there, however you typically handle it.
Oh yeah. So if just know that this is going to be part of the discussion. So if you are uncomfy, maybe mute for part of it. You can. There are closed captions, so you can kind of know when to tune back in. Whatever you feel comfortable doing, nobody would ever blame you for needing to step away. So take care of you first, whatever that means for you. But just so you know, nobody is going to give like details about how anything happens, but the conversation will go into depression and suicide and suicidal ideation and stuff like that. So that being said, you have been warned.
So, mental health has been a part of my life for my whole life, except for the majority of my life, I didn't understand that it was mental health. So, growing up, I had a very, very privileged life. I was born and raised in Beverly Hills. My parents were both very successful. By the time I was 8, I realized something was very wrong with my father. I found out he had a severe opioid addiction, and basically, his addiction unraveled our family day by day, minute by minute. I won't go into any nitty gritty details, but pretty much anything that you can think of related to having an addict in the household with a child and a wife went down. It was terrible. It really, really was the most traumatic thing that I've ever witnessed, and it was just a lot to handle as a child. So I dealt with a lot of feelings that were directly related to that. Obviously, when you have a parent who is essentially falling apart and be turning into this just evil person as a result of withdrawal and all of these things, it makes you feel some kind of way, and that kind of way is not good. So as a child, I always was anxious and sad, and I'm sorry, this is my dark humor again, but I literally would like play funeral, like my own funeral with my plushies,
Oh.
because I was just like, I don't want to be here. Like that was like the highlight for me, was imagining that unfold. And what's kind of weird about it, thinking back, is that these behaviors and these things that I did and like this ideation with death, my parents, they were so consumed with my dad and trying to help my dad through everything that they didn't necessarily see what I was going through.
Mm.
I was always like, I was just a nervous child. Like I never got in trouble at school. I never spoke out of turn. I was always like kind of funny and goofy, but I was just afraid to push the limits on anything. And I remember, I think I was 13 the first time I realized like I really want to end things. And I was actually at a Barnes and Noble with my first boyfriend ever, and we were exchanging secrets in one of the aisles at Barnes and Noble, and his secret was that he loved me and mine was that I want to
Oh.
die. So that
Oh,
was
very
at,
different.
yes, and that's just it was something that I lived with for so long, and I thought it was normal. I really did. I thought everyone must feel this way. Like, there's no way. Everybody must struggle with this. So, again, because my parents were so consumed with my dad, understandably, because that was obviously at the forefront of everything happening, they just didn't really take much notice to what was going on with me. Fast forward, my parents had a very, very messy separation. My dad moved back to Los Angeles. We moved to Florida to spend some time away from him. He showed back up in Florida, attempted to do some dangerous things to our family as a whole, went back to Los Angeles, ended up homeless on Skid Row, and took his life my first day of freshman year of college. Um, so at this point, nothing that I had been going through was diagnosed. I was just kind of chugging along, trying to figure out, what my next step was at all times. I became the funny friend. So I would make a
Ah.
joke pretty much about everything. I never took anything seriously. I just like I used humor to cope with everything. Finally in college I had another attempt, and it was that attempt that my mom, and who was essentially a stepdad to me, realized like we've got to step in. So I went to a psychiatrist for the very first time. We had a very, very eye-opening first appointment, and it was then that I was diagnosed with a whole lot of acronyms. So major depressive disorder, anxiety disorder, PTSD, and then later on in my life, ADHD. So I got all my diagnoses out of the way. I started taking medication. I started going to therapy. I am very, very proud to be on medication. It took me about 3 years. I'm going on, I think, year 8 or 9 now, to really get comfortable with being on meds. There was such a stigma
Oh
around it
my
at the
god.
time.
And it's you hear other people and then you just carry it around yourself and you kind of perpetuate it for yourself.
Exactly. I hid it from my boyfriend at the time, from my friends. I was just like, people would make jokes like, oh, crazy pills,
Mhm.
and just, throw these terms around that made me feel like I was broken and
Yeah.
I was ashamed. So the more I started researching it, the more people I surrounded myself with who were passionate about talking about mental health, the more I was finally able to lean into it and realize this medication saved my life. Now, that's obviously going to be different for everybody. Medication is not the solution for all people, but
Of
for
course.
me, it was exactly what I needed to feel human again. And, when you first start on antidepressants, the first 6 to 8 weeks could be absolutely miserable, and I
Yeah.
remember waking up one morning and feeling like I was waking up legitimately for the first time. Like
Oh my
the
god.
chemicals in my brain were finally balanced out, and I'm like tearing up thinking about it, because I wish that I had gone on that journey sooner and that I hadn't been so afraid of exploring the option. Because I mean, at this point I was 21, 22 when I first got on antidepressants, and I could have done that prior. I mean, at 18 I had autonomy to decide who I wanted to see as far as doctors go, and all of that, but I did wait. because of the shame. And gosh, I wish I could just get those few years back. But regardless, we're not looking back, we're only looking forward. So I medication saved my life there. A year or two later, I got my ADHD diagnosis. I brought it up to my psychiatrist mainly just out of curiosity. I was like, "Do you think I have ADHD?" And he was literally like, "Yes." And I guess
I've
it's
been
from
waiting for this moment.
yes.
Yeah.
He spent so much time with me, obviously, like getting me on my medication and, monitoring my progress. And he was like, honestly, I just didn't want to add one more thing to your plate, but you definitely have both inattentive and hyperactive ADHD. So then we started ADHD medication. That's where we are right now. I am fully medicated and very proud. And streaming connected me with a lot of like-minded people, and I saw an opportunity here to take my platform and use it as a means to talk openly about mental health after living in shame for so long and feeling so freaking alone. I was like, this is my purpose in life. We are going to hop on here and we're going to talk to people about what we went through, because if even one person hears this and feels like they're not suffering alone and in silence, then I've done something. And and here we are now, Twitch partner, full-time streamer, mediocre gamer, pro Crossing player. That's what's on the agenda.
Hell yeah. God, I love you so much. Um, thank you so much for sharing all of that. And I did one of those classic things where I was like, I'm gonna ask her about this. I'm gonna ask her about this. And now I'm sitting here and going, I got nothing. I have no questions. I have no, I do. But at the same time, like, it's an amazing story. It's one that's all too familiar. The part about medication, like, I am a mental health advocate, and I literally 2 weeks ago was finally like, I need to take my ADHD medication more seriously, because it was given to me on an as needed basis. And so what that told my brain was, well, I never need it. I got the diagnosis and I like went out of my way to get this diagnosis, but like that doesn't mean I need meds. And I am an advocate. Like this is what I do. This is what I tell other people. And so there was a moment where I was like, where is this coming from? Like it is so ingrained from, I don't know if you had this experience, like as a kid, my parents were like, I had asthma and my parents were like, oh, you don't need that inhaler. You're going to become dependent on it. And I was like, yeah, I don't need that. Meanwhile, I'm like wheezing and can't breathe. And I'm like, yeah, I don't need this. I don't want to become, it makes no sense because they didn't say that about my glasses. It was about the inhaler that was super important. And like, and like when I got on birth control, nobody said anything. It was like, yeah, that's what you're going to do. But
just the thing that makes you breathe.
That's just the thing that makes you breathe. And then subsequently the stuff that I needed to make my brain go, brr, like so strange. So I feel that hardcore. And how did you finally like come to a place where you came to terms with it? For me, it was, I just like, except one day I was just like, I feel better with this in my body. And actually, you described the moment of waking up. I remember I was driving and it suddenly felt like the world turned on color.
That's a perfect way to describe it.
Like literally everything felt like somebody turned the lights on in the entire planet. Like as I was driving, I don't remember where I was driving to. I just remember that exact moment of being like, whoa, is this what other people feel like just like normally? Yeah. So, and for me, it was my last, suicidal, like ideation, suicide attempt that I was like, hey, so this stuff makes me not want to die. So maybe I should take that. Maybe I should. So if there is an experience for you, I would love to hear it.
So interestingly enough, the moment for me was when I met somebody. They were actually at my stepsister's 21st birthday party in Vegas. And they weren't drinking. And I was like, hey, like, you don't drink? That's cool, whatever. And they were like, oh, I just started my antidepressant, so I can't drink. And they were so cool and calm and collected about it. Like it wasn't an issue. They didn't make it weird. They weren't like, oh, I this and that. They were just like, I started my antidepressants and I can't drink. And again, it sounds so silly, but seeing and meeting one other person who was just so cool and confident and didn't really care what anyone thought because that was part of who they were and they weren't going to be fazed by that. That's all it really took for me. And it was just I met more people like that eventually. And then that's when I really decided like we are going to talk about this as much as possible and see if we can make other people feel the way that those people made us feel.
That's that's wonderful. God, that's so wonderful. So why Twitch? Why talk about yourself on Twitch specifically?
So my Twitch journey is a real one, or a weird one. I don't know where real came from. It's really not a real one
It's fake. It's the whole thing is
I
fake. It's all
it,
made up.
it it feels like so
No.
I know I was in this terribly toxic ad agency job, and I was just losing my mind, for lack of a better phrase. Even though I was on medication and I should have had everything under control, my toxic boss, the hours, the stress, the clients, like I was just cracking. And one day I did crack and I ended up leaving this job. I had just enough in savings, I think I calculated, to get me through 2 months. So I ended up leaving the job because I couldn't take one more day. I mean, my hair was falling out in clumps. I wasn't sleeping. My
Same.
Sunday scaries was palpable.
Mhm.
Like, oh my gosh. So I left. And I didn't have anything else to do because I knew I needed a job. But, you can't get a job that fast when a pandemic has just set in, everyone's locking down. So I had been playing Animal Crossing Pocket Camp a lot, to the point where, I mean, I sold my soul to that game. I had no money basically because I had just quit my job and I was shelling out money from my savings to buy those Leaf tickets
Oh no.
in the game. Like
Oh. Yeah.
I was obsessed. So my fiance, who he had played Animal Crossing as a kid on his GameCube, he was like, there's a new Animal Crossing out. Like you should play it. And I had never played before other than Pocket Camp. I literally texted my mom, and keep in mind I'm 29, so I'm an adult. I texted my mom and I was like, "Can you please loan me money to buy a Nintendo?" And she was like, "Okay, you just quit your job. You're job hunting. You want a Nintendo." And I was like, "Please, I will pay you back when I get my tax refund. It's really important." So I get Animal Crossing. I jump into the Animal Crossing communities online. I somehow build a following of over 34,000 people on my Animal Crossing Instagram. And one day I started watching Twitch. I put on my Instagram stories, "Hey, should I stream? Hee hee." And people were like, "Yes." And that's how
Gotcha.
it started. And I had my first stream at the end of May. So we're coming up to my 1 year stream anniversary. I unlocked my Path to Partner 25 days after my first stream. I
Oh.
applied, I got accepted 30 days after that. And I took that as a sign as like,
You got to do this.
okay, I think we're gonna do this. I
That's
think we are.
awesome. And the fact that you decided to talk about mental health while doing that is all that's wonderful. That's awesome. Were you doing that on Insta too, or like were you also
Yes.
connecting it to mental health? Oh, that's amazing.
Yes. As soon as I built my platform, I was like, I already know what I want to talk about and what I want to use this. So as I saw growth on there, gradually I would incorporate it into literally of the screenshot crossing builds that I did. I would talk about mental health openly in the captions. So I already knew once I moved over to Twitch that that was going to be a huge part of my platform.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay. So we are like 20 minutes in. We have not specifically mentioned our neurodivergent. Like we've talked about the fact that you have ADHD.
I'm so sorry, guys.
No. Okay. First of all, if this is not the example this is literally, this is 25 minutes in. We're like, wait, we were so hyper focused on the path we were on that we were not going to go into ADHD land, but I will bring us back or my name
Please
is not
do.
Anxiety. No, but like literally we could talk about anything. So it's fine. If that's the path you want to keep going on, we'll go on that path. But we did promise people we talk about neurodivergence. So we probably
Let's get
should.
back on track.
No,
yes,
we're not
please.
off, but we're not off track. I want to make that clear. We're not off track. Like everything
merge
we're talking
one
about,
lane.
Yeah, there you go. I
Over
like
a little
that. Yeah. This is the most ADHD moment ever. Like seriously. So ADHD, it makes streaming very interesting experience. There was one time where I talked to my therapist And she was like, so I watched your stream and I don't know how you do it all. There's like stuff happening here, stuff happening on the screen. You're talking, you're answering people, but then you're also talking to your guests. Like how does that all happen at once? And I was like, you know how I have ADHD? I think that's how. I think it finally uses all of my cylinders. That being said, neurotypical people stream just fine as well. But I feel like this has been the only time that I've been able to use it as like a superpower. So I want to hear about you, and I want to hear about like your experience specifically when it comes to ADHD and the positives. I know we're starting backwards, but I want like
let's start backwards.
Yeah. Yeah.
I totally agree with that. I personally need a lot of stimulation to feel fulfilled. So streaming I really enjoy because there is so much going on at once, and I feel like it is mentally stimulating and exciting, and I'm talking to people and I'm playing a game, and like you said, you're finally like firing on all cylinders and it just feels natural. I'm the kind of person you don't want to watch a movie with because I'll be like playing Candy Crush on my phone, like fidgeting with like a stress ball in the other, a lot going on to feel like I'm okay. So I think that streaming definitely fulfills that for me. Obviously, there are a lot of limitations being neurodivergent and being a content creator, but I would say the one superpower is feeling like I'm really not, I don't want to say living my best life, but like I'm in my best form,
It
I
feels
think, when I'm
home.
streaming.
Yeah. I like it feels like I'm using all of like my brain the way I mean to use it. Nothing else
Yes.
activates all of the parts at the same time. Yeah.
Perfect. Yes, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like ADHD gives you more, so you're used to having to solve problems differently than somebody who's neurotypical.
Right.
So I think that with streaming, there's a lot of opportunity there to creatively problem solve. And I love that. Again, I feel like
On
that's
your
my
feet.
finest form. Yes.
Mhm.
Like I love having to come up with things on a whim, and even the technical difficulty stuff, like I really enjoy figuring things out, like going back to the root of the problem and kind of unfolding a solution from there. And it's just it feels so good. It is the first thing I think that's truly satisfied my brain.
Yeah. Yeah. God, I feel that. And I started streaming before I got the ADHD diagnosis. So
But it probably made so much sense.
No, it all made, everything fell into place when I started reading. I don't know if this is how it was for you. So they gave you like for me, they gave me the criteria to take home to like read through. And as I was reading it, I was like, oh, I went to my partner and I was like, so you know how we call these like Marie quirks? Like we're like, oh, that's like a thing you do. These are diagnosable things. These aren't, I'm not supposed to do them like normally at this rate. Like it's cute if I just do it like, but the rate I do them with is diagnosable. And he's like, oh. And we both had this moment of like, my entire personality and life makes sense. Did you have something like that or?
I mean, my doctor was so sure when I brought up the ADHD diagnosis to him that he didn't, like, I was never tested. I didn't get any like information.
No, you're still diagnosed.
But
yeah.
on my own time, I've done a lot of research, and Twitter, neurodivergent Twitter has been a huge source of better understanding myself. Just hearing other people's experiences on there who share my diagnosis. And I read things sometimes and I'm like, holy heck. That's why I do that. Like rejection sensitivity. I had no idea that that was related to ADHD. And then looking back, I see every time that that's manifested in my life.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Rejection sensitivity is one of those. That's a tough one for me because my brain is still so programmed from like my parents to be like, I was always called just sensitive. I was a sensitive kid. I couldn't. So my brain is so, and it's not an official term. Like it's not in the DSM. It's just something that somebody researched and was like, this is really acutely tied to people with ADHD. So it's always like, to me, it's like, is this rejection sensitivity or am I just a sensitive asshole? And like, I go back and forth with that all the time, but that is another, like, that's part of depression of like just blaming myself for everything. But there's so many of those moments where I'm reading Twitter and I'm just like,
Twitter.
I'm not alone. I'm not alone. Yeah. 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 Why not both? It could be both. Exactly, Bliff. Exactly. How do you find, I mean, the stuff that makes, there's a ton of stuff that makes just all of our diagnoses, but specifically ADHD, it makes streaming, it makes being in public difficult, it makes what are some things that your ADHD does? Like, how does it show itself that maybe you don't have to hide, but maybe there are things that you have to be acutely aware of as they're happening?
Of course. So I want to expound on this a little bit. Just ADHD and how it affects you as a content creator or just being neurodivergent in general. Am I allowed to define neurodivergent
Yes.
for the
Yes.
audience just in case
Yes,
not
please.
everyone knows?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
So neurodivergent is a term that was actually created in, I think, the 1990s by a sociologist who was on the autism spectrum. And she created the term neurodivergent to point out that differences in the brain, so ADHD and autism, are not actually, they're not flaws. They're not curable. They're not supposed to be fixed. There's nothing wrong with you if your brain is different. And that's what the term neurodivergent aims to do, is basically say that we are all made up of, like, the world is made up of neurodiverse brains. And if you are autistic or you have ADHD, you are not broken. Nobody needs to fix you or cure you. Your brain is just unique. And I think that that word has been so empowering for so many people, especially because a lot of people think of ADHD as, I need to fix this. There is
Yes.
something wrong.
Yes.
And it can definitely feel like that sometimes. But ultimately, this word gives power back to people who do have diverse brains and says, hey, look at all the amazing things your brain can do because you are not neurotypical. And I just think that's really, really powerful. And seeing it used so much on Twitter and in the streaming space is, I mean, empowering. That is the best word that I can think of to describe it. It also helps children a lot. Instead of teachers seeing children as, oh, they have this disability, they're disabled, they can't do this. It's, oh, their brain is different. They can do this in a different way. We can find a different solution. We don't have anything we need to fix. So just a quick story about that, because a lot of people come into my stream and say like, oh, what does it mean to be neurodivergent? What's neurotypical? So yeah, just a quick little lesson.
I love that. No, it's a great point. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I just realized I went all over after your initial question.
No,
but,
you're totally fine. It's not like I remember what I asked you, so we're on the same page still. You're good.
How does ADHD negative, I guess, what are the challenges with it?
Yeah.
I am extremely, extremely absent-minded. It drives everybody bananas around me. I will start a sentence and then my sentence will literally go
Wait, hold on.
window.
Wait.
Fly, so I never prepare for anything.
Hold on. Sorry, you just froze after you said, and my sentence will literally go, and then you froze. The timing of tech issues is incredible sometimes.
Thank you. Did I unfreeze?
Yeah, you're unfrozen. You're good. I had to pause you because first of all, we didn't hear anything else you said, but second of all, you're like, and then my brain goes, we need to add a dial-up sound in there. Yeah. It was the best timing. Okay, but I am sorry that you got interrupted by tech issues, but
oh no, that's hilarious. Basically, I'm just really messy and disorganized, and I come up with ideas on the fly. I can't prepare for anything. I don't pack for trips. Like the morning of, before I have to leave to the airport, I will basically remove all the contents of my clothing and throw them in my suitcase. So streaming and being your own boss and being a content creator, you got to be on your stuff. You got to have a plan. You got to be organized. You have to motivate yourself. What? Obviously medication is what makes this possible for me, but it is incredibly, incredibly challenging to have a brain that works differently and be in a job, in a role where all of the advice and guidelines are written for neurotypical people.
And that's the tea. And if you want to read more about that, you can check out Blathies' beautiful,
And that's the tea.
beautiful Twitter thread that you posted yesterday.
I've been so spicy lately on Twitter.
Oh,
I feel like
perfect.
I'm really coming into my own.
Yeah,
like I'm
there's a
finally getting
moment.
confident.
Yeah, there's a moment where that happens. It's a beautiful moment where you're like, wait, I was definitely making this palatable, but not being myself.
Never mind.
Never mind. Yeah. Here you go. Here's the whole thing. Stop telling me to be normal, because I don't know what normal is. So like, please just throw that out the window. But no, I'm very happy that you made that thread. So for background for peeps who haven't read it yet, but please do check it out. The thread is basically like, here is advice that works a little bit better for people who are not neurotypical, who are neurodivergent, on how to follow, because the basic advice that you get for, let's talk about it, right? The basic advice for streaming is you got to be consistent. You have to have a schedule. What's another
long
one?
streams?
Yeah, you have to do longer. You cannot do long streams with ADHD. I mean, if somebody does, like, God bless them, bless. But like that is not me. Because once my brain is done, like, it doesn't brain no more. I
take 2 doses of my ADHD medication. So I take it in the morning and then I take it again. So I have just now been able to work myself up to slightly longer streams. When I first started streaming, I was doing an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours tops. Now I'm getting to that like 3 hour, 4 hour mark finally, but it's 100% fueled by medication.
Yeah.
And coffee.
Yeah, and coffee. And love for the community.
And love, yes.
Obviously.
I am not advocating using large amounts of caffeine to power through your day.
Yes.
It just works for me.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I can't recommend it.
It is a pretty, by the way, neurodivergent thing too, because caffeine tends to like make the brain focus. It's like one of the things that it does. So I've heard that, like, I literally have friends who are autistic who, like, if they don't have coffee, they don't function. It's not even that, like, oh, haha, like, don't talk to me before my coffee. Like, they literally, like, their brain does not
before my coffee.
Yeah. I do tea same way, and thankfully, my anxiety outweighs my need for caffeine. So that's the only reason I don't have a more like serious coffee addiction, I'm pretty sure, because a little bit too much caffeine and my anxiety goes, hi, remember me? And I'm like, but son of a, because that was working so well. Yeah. So I feel that hard, but yeah, so ADHD, those things are hard. And so you talked about in your thread about how we can kind of make those a little bit easier on ourselves. So, instead of be consistent, I said be consistent within your own comfort. So people think, oh, consistency means I have to have a strict schedule and I have to show up. But in reality, you could just tell people, hey, I'm going to stream 3 days a week. And then you determine what 3 days a week you are able to show up, how long you're able to show up for. Basically taking the rules that were written by and for neurotypical creators and molding them to fit your unique brain. And that's what being neurodivergent is truly all about. It's not that we are broken, so we are unable to follow the rules that were put into place. It's that our brains are different, so we're going to use them and creatively find solutions that work for us. And I think that embracing neurodiversity and seeing it as just a difference and a superpower in some ways, rather than a lack of, will motivate a lot of people who may have felt discouraged previously about starting a career as a streamer or content creator. Yeah. That, like, all the things you actually, just like in general, all these rules of like what you have to do. And I understand our brains like that though, right? Like, we like having a set of rules that, like, okay, I know what's wrong. Like, I'm not growing as a streamer. I know what's wrong. I didn't follow XYZ rule. Okay, if I follow XYZ rule, then Twitch will become, just open up to me and everything will be perfect. And like, that is just not true. There's not a set of rules that will unlock Twitch for you. There's general maybe ideas and guidelines, like you were saying, like, but making them work for you is going to go way longer, like way further for you than pretending that you go by somebody's rules playing by somebody else's rules versus playing by your own. Playing by your own will always get you further because only you know yourself. And things make more sense to you if you create them instead of just listening to what somebody else said.
I actually have a real life example of that too. So I've always been told, make your bed every morning. That seemed so just out of my reach. Like, how was I going to sit and spend time and make my bed every morning when I had 3,000 other things to do, things to read, people to talk to, text to send, cereal to eat? Like, there was no way that I was going to dedicate time to doing that one task. So, but that advice is just, it's hammered into people.
It is.
So finally, I was like, all right, somebody's onto something, because every single successful person that I know
Says
makes
this
their
crap.
freaking bed in the morning. So I was like, I can't deal with all of the layers, the pillows, the fitted sheet, the top sheet. It's not working for me. So my community knows this term, but we say yeet the sheet.
Mhm.
So I have completely stopped using my top sheet, like I'm in Europe or something. And I've made my bed every morning now. Like I made rules that fit me and my brain in order to get to that same feeling of accomplishment every morning. So it
Yeah.
just goes to show you got to change things up. What works for you?
Right. So that is part two. So you do feel more. So the rules weren't wrong. It's not that you don't feel more accomplished if by making your bed does make you feel more accomplished. You just couldn't do it the way somebody else told you had to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that, obviously it's a little different from the Twitch example, because in the Twitch example, you're not necessarily going to see success whether you follow those rules to a T or you change them up. There's a lot of factors.
Right.
But I do think it's science that
Yeah.
if you make your bed every morning, you will feel some type better. I don't know in what way, but it's working.
Well,
better.
Yeah, no, I strongly believe in what Buddhism believes are the universal truths, and those are certain things that like you come to learn in your life that everybody else in the world learns as well, and it does work for us as humans. So maybe not in the same exact way, but it works for us as humans. So right, like mindfulness, learning mindfulness
Changed my life.
Changed your life. I don't know many people who have said mindfulness doesn't work for me in the way, but then have described to me what true. I'm loving these cars outside my window today. But then have described to me what true mindfulness is, right? So that's a universal truth that like mindfulness is helpful to people. In the same way to everybody? No, but it is a helpful thing. So I believe like making your bed, going to bed at the same time and waking up at the same time in the morning, those are all universal truths that help all of us, and we should be sharing them with each other, but they all click differently for people, right? Like going to bed and waking up the same, at the same time might not make sense to you with just your schedule for work, right? But maybe you can go to bed at the same time on certain days, and that makes a difference for you already. So yeah. I don't even know where I was going with that, but yeah.
I think, kind of, if you find a universal truth, it's worth trying it out, even if you have to bend it a little bit to make it work for you.
Yeah, I love that. I love that so much. So all of that, like the organization part is incredibly tough and everything, but like what are other things that in general, not just about your ADHD, but like that are just like super, that you find to be super difficult as a creator? Like what are some other challenges that you experience?
Wait, you broke up a little bit for me.
No.
So I heard challenging as a creator outside of ADHD, like mental health related, or just in general?
Yeah, no, mental health related. Like what are some other things that you have to overcome as a creator with mental health issues?
Of course. So as I told y'all earlier, I have major depressive disorder, and I struggled with suicidal ideation for a lot of my life, anxiety, and also PTSD. So depression especially can have this fog like fatigue can come over me a lot of times. And unrelated to mental health, I have celiac disease. So,
Ooh.
yes, and that's actually very closely related to the brain, I've learned. So things like brain fog and anxiety can also stem from celiac. And I think ultimately the biggest challenge is that there are days where I am just not in the right headspace. And on those days, I kind of feel it out. So I realize that there are days where I'm like, you know what? I'm not feeling my best, but I think that hanging out with my community and playing some games and talking to them is going to make me feel better. And I can honestly say I've never regretted a stream that I've done on those days. But there is a fine line and I can feel myself cross it to when I'm low energy, my brain is foggy. I'm just not, maybe my anxiety or my depression are competing for attention in my mind, which is what always happens. I imagine they're like cats and they're like doing this. And on those days, I'm not afraid anymore to, you know, ping my community on Discord and just say, you know what, guys, I'm having a bad brain day. I need to take a break. So I would say that having that layer of mental health kind of dictate whether or not you are up to the challenge of streaming is definitely something that content creators have to struggle with versus somebody who does not have any mental health issues because the only thing that's going to stop them from going live is something else coming up in their life or a physical issue that happens. But when it's mental, it's more confusing, it's less tangible, so you don't really know, like, is this worth canceling, is it not? It's just, it adds some layers of confusion. But I think with time I've gotten more comfortable, deciding how to handle it.
I love that because that is, I still to this day run into, like, after almost 4 years now of doing this, I still run into, like, do I feel bad or do I feel I need to hang out with people, feel better bad? Yeah.
Those are the two in my head, and not even just with streaming, like with my real life friends too.
Yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
I will be like, okay, is it bad? Bad. I need to text girls. I'm like, you don't want to be around me. Like, I'm a black hole of sadness. Or is it bad good where they could pull me out of it and so could a few margaritas?
Are you also an extrovert?
Oh, I'm incredibly extroverted. I don't
Yeah.
have one introverted bone in my body.
Okay, so I am one of those people that I definitely need to recharge by being by myself, but that layer of, like, I will literally sometimes notice that I get depressed and I have to remind myself that, like, you're not depressed in this moment, you're not depressed, you're actually just lonely and you need to go and seek that human connection because you need a lot of it, a lot more than other people. And so that's when the whole, like, am I bothering my friends a lot? Do my friends like that I'm bothering them? Are they, they're good friends, they don't mind that I bother them, right? But also, like, I don't want to bother. Yeah.
I wish I was a little more like that because I probably am bothering my friends. I just don't care.
No,
like
that's what I want.
Just like,
I
what's
want that.
up?
I want that. I want more of that. Oh my goodness. Ah, this is so good. Okay, so this is normally a time when I open up things for questions. Are you comfy answering a few questions from the community if we get some?
Yes, nothing phases me, so go for it.
Yee! Okay, so hello. Hello. Why won't this let me type? Okay, hold on. We're gonna try this differently. Okay, exclamation question will teach you how to ask a question. So please go ahead and do that. Yeah. Ba, ba, ba.
A question queue. This is fancy.
I'll show you that we figured out the Streamlabs bot does it and the Stream Elements bot, they both have a way of doing it. But yeah, exclamation question and then exclamation join, and then you type in your question, then you get a question in the queue. So they can't be, like, super duper long. I will warn you that that it will, like, delete them, but I will try to catch them if they are so. Okay, all right. So last kind of, we've kind of answered all the things that we meant to talk about. And what are some, I guess let's just talk about, like, what are your tips and tricks for managing ADHD as a content creator? So other than, like what are some things that you do that you're like, I don't know if other people do this, but this definitely helps me with content creation, and I know it's because I'm neurodiverse.
I do brain dumps.
Okay.
So every morning, I'm a big journaler. That's a conversation for another day. I am like an avid journaler. Like my day
Ooh.
does not start until I journal. My day does not end until I journal. I will come home early from wherever I am to journal. But I do brain dumps. So for me, being neurodivergent, my brain looks a lot like just a scribble that you would make with a pen. Like there's a lot happening in there. Traffic's backed up, none of the lights are working. It's a tough place. It's a tough side of town. So I just get a blank Word doc, or I'm more of a handwritten kind of person, so like a blank piece of paper, and I will literally just dump every thought, idea, brainstorm, question, everything down on a page. And then I will wait for my medication to kick in and I will go through that and kind of organize it by priority. What kind of thought is it? Is it a content idea? Is it something I have to buy from the grocery store? And I think the best way to do this is to go in with no judgment. It doesn't matter what comes out of your brain and onto that paper. You just have to get it out of your head. And my head feels calmer and lighter after. And I just met so many people that never heard of brain dumps, or maybe they haven't tried it themselves. And that is my number one advice for anybody in content creation who is neurodivergent. Get those thoughts out somewhere and organize them later. Procrastinators unite tomorrow.
I love that. Okay, Blithel Splick asks, what's your favorite weird food combo?
Um, Apples and cheese. I don't know if that's really weird
I don't
though.
know that that's really weird. It depends on the cheese. Like if you told me it was like mozzarella, I'd be like, that could be weird. But if you're like doing Gouda or I don't know.
I don't think I'm not that weird, but I also am one of those people where I'm very finicky when my foods touch. So I don't think that I'm set up for success as far as like weird food combos. I would prefer none of my foods to be in combos and
Okay.
none of them touch.
Okay. Totally not neurodivergent. That's
That's
totally
totally
neurotypical.
typical.
Yeah, that's totally neurotypical. Okay, Ashley Kind asks, how can we as viewers be helpful and support content creators who are neurodivergent? Great question.
I think that Oh, wait, Jesse has a great point. I drink pickle juice straight out of the jar. It's not
Okay.
a combination, but I will literally just I will drink all the juice out of a pickle jar before I even eat all the pickles, and then they dry out. I'm going through a lot of jars of pickles because of this.
Interesting.
I love pickle juice.
I do this with
Okay.
pineapple
Sorry,
juice.
my medication's wearing off.
No. I've had a whole
That's-
conversation
yeah,
with the
that's delicious.
community where like I don't do pickle juice, but I will drink pineapple juice out of the can and like
That's fair.
yeah. Yeah.
Pickle juice.
But I love pickles though. I love pickles. Just like the juice. Okay, so I eat raw onion. I don't
me
tell this
too.
to a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
I
Like
will
an
cut
like
off.
an apple.
Wait,
Oh.
are you serious?
Only
Oh
once,
my
only
God.
once.
No, but like, hold on, we're meant to be together. No,
I know, when are we gonna be real friends? We gotta take our friendship offline.
Seriously, I need to talk to you like every day. I cut off a piece of onion and I eat it with cheese, like raw.
I love onion. I dip it in hummus, but same thing. I love raw onion. I love torturing everyone within a 2-foot radius of me, which
Yeah.
is no one, because 6 feet.
Because you should be 6 feet away is where you should be.
Yeah, if you're close enough to smell my onion, you're too close.
Yeah. Yeah. And then listen, I care about my partner. So I brush my teeth and I Listerine and everything. Sometimes it's not enough, but he jokes it's like part of me. Like it's
You are an onion.
yeah, it's like it's part of who I am. You gotta love me with the onion, or it doesn't come without. I don't come without the onion. I'm sorry. Could
If
be
you
garlic.
can't-
Could be worse.
If you can't be accepted with your onion, they don't deserve you without it.
That's Marilyn Monroe, I believe. Said that.
Yeah, is that exactly to a T?
That's cool.
Sorry, I'm not going to apologize for getting
No.
sidetracked because
No.
that's how my brain works.
Yes.
I would say the best way to help a neurodivergent streamer when you're in their chat is if you see somebody, what drives me a little bonkers is people, I'll miss a question. Okay. My chat moves decently fast. It blows my mind, but I'll miss a question. And then, the person will aggressively continue to type it again. And I think just don't be that person. If a neurodivergent streamer misses a message, there is a polite way to kind of poke them. And I feel like, was it Ashley that asked the question? Because I feel like Ashley is actually
Yes.
excellent excellent at being like,
Can I repost the question?
well, no, Ashley will literally be like, Blathies will get to your question shortly. And like Jesse and other Ashley are both my mods, and they're both really, really great at handling it. So I think that anytime you're in a neurodivergent stream, just remember that our brain doesn't necessarily work like yours if you're neurotypical. So keep that in mind before maybe you make them feel bad that they missed something. Or sometimes people will comment on how I play games and it kind of irritates me, like the organization, for example, this sounds ridiculous, of my Animal Crossing pockets. People will be like, oh, that would drive me crazy. Or like how I have my Animal Crossing custom designs laid out, they'll be like, I could never have that. I wasn't asking you, Karen. I didn't ask you if you could have your pockets like that. I'm sorry, but
These
I
aren't your
wasn't.
freaking pockets. So what a
These
coincidence.
Get out of my pockets. So yeah, commenting, I think, on how neurodivergent streamers do something, even in a game, it's just not cool. I already know that my brain is funky. Let me live,
Let me just live my life.
please.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't. Oh God. God. Oh my gosh. Okay. Nexina asks, how do you help yourself make the decision to cancel stream on a bad brain day? Do you have any tells?
I don't even know how to explain it. I just have this feeling where like it's like a glimmer of hope. I don't even know. It's like visceral. I just know if it's going to be something that I can pull myself out of or not. This is probably not the best advice, but I will say if I go in my Discord and I'm about to cancel a stream
Oh no, you froze. Hold on, you froze.
and somebody
Okay.
posted in Discord, looking forward to your stream all weekend. I'm so excited. That will motivate me and I'll be like, you know what? This isn't about you, Montana/Blathies. Like this is about the community that you've cultivated. So that is a telltale sign for me that like, all right, buckle up. We're doing this.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. It's so weird because for me, there's definitely a visceral aspect of it of like I just know in my gut, but I sometimes am wrong. The litmus test for me is will I feel guiltier having not streamed? Like, do I feel in a way that if I don't stream, I'm just gonna be like, oh, you're a piece of crap because you didn't stream and people are counting on you? Or will I feel worse if I force myself to stream and I don't put on a good show? Which one is it?
Yeah.
That's as close as I have to like a rule.
I find too that if it's simply mental, obviously mental illness manifests physically as well. So, you feel it in your bones or your stomach, you have that nervous pit or you're exhausted. If it doesn't get to that point and I'm only feeling it mentally, that is a good sign that I will be able to pull through at least for a stream. It's just once my body is like, haha, no, then that's a
Yeah.
good telltale sign as well.
Yeah. Usually that same. Usually my brain will be like, "You not doing anything today." And I'm like, "But maybe." And like as I'm
But
like falling
what if we
yeah.
did?
Maybe we did, and I'm like falling asleep, or like I literally cannot think. Like I stare into space, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know that the stream would be any useful right now. Yeah. Zacharoni and Cheese asks, how difficult is it to do tasks? My therapist says I may have ADHD.
I couldn't do one task before I was on medication. It would take me like 3 to 5 business days to open a piece of mail. I was the queen of I'm going to put off this task for 6 months and then find out it took 45 seconds. I would get so in my head about like what tasks needed to be done, they would just never do it. Or my favorite is in college when I had to write a paper or something. If I had a paper due, I would clean my room, cook dinner, go for a run. I would literally do every task except the one that demanded to be done because of a deadline.
Got it.
So yeah, tasks suck. There we go.
There you go. That's really interesting. So I have the hyperactive kind, not so much the no. Wait. Which one do I
I got
have?
both.
Yeah, wait. I think I don't no, not as much of the inattentive, more hyperactive. And so for me, accomplishing tasks is no problem. Finishing them is an issue, and doing them in a way that like is complete. Like, so I might like do the task from start to end, but I'll like miss a part in the middle of it. And yeah, but multitasking is huge for me. Like the reason I won't finish a task will usually be because I started 6 at once.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I actually have to read 3 books at one time. Like not physically at one time, but like I need books of different like one genre. Like what? Yeah.
Yes, I am reading Barack Obama's biography right now. I am reading the anxiety book. Like I'm finishing the anxiety book by one of the doctors that was here, and then I'm also reading like a history book. That's all 3.
Right now, I'm reading Buy Yourself the Lilies, some cheesy fictional novel about influencers, and then a book on human behavior. Like I need to have 3 different avenues to read.
Yep. I agree. Oh, Pink Puppy, I'm so glad. Yes, we are here absolutely talking about heckin' ADHD, and welcome to the streaming club of neurodiverse streamers who totally don't go off on tangents 3 times in an interview that is very, very otherwise linear. But no, my community is probably also laughing because like they know this is how interviews go. This isn't like special. This isn't different. This is how my brain works. So like people need to just roll with it. And if they don't, they don't. And I always ask for feedback. But if the feedback I get is like, I wish we stayed more on topic. I'm like, oh, you are on the wrong show.
Oh, let me recommend this person.
Yeah, you should go somewhere else. It's okay though. I get it. It's very frustrating. It's frustrating for me too. Linear schminier. But thank you so much for being on, my love. You are so. I can't. We have to talk like all the time more than we're talking right now.
I feel the same way. Thank you so much for having me. I really, really appreciate it.
I hope you have a wonderful night. Please tell everybody where they can find you.
Will do. Bye.
Wait. Oh. Oh my God. Hold on. Oh no. Okay, I think what may have happened is that she didn't hear me because they broke up. It's totally fine. That's perfect. Mwah! Where you can find our beautiful Blathies is on her Twitch page, on her TikTok. The links are here out below, and on her Instagram. You can go ahead and find her there ASAP. I can't call her back because she dropped out of the meeting or something. It's totally okay. It's okay. It's not like we weren't done. It's just TD Bell, thank you so much for resubscribing. Thank you, honey. Well, it happened. It's wonderful. It's perfect. I think that's the perfect ending to specifically this interview. It is perfect. I wouldn't change one thing. TD Bell, yes, quite the exit. It's beautiful. I love you so much. TD Bell, yes, 27 heckin' months. Thank you so much for being here. Wonderful fam. Thank you. We are gonna run our quick ad for BetterHelp, and I will be right back, Aru. For sticking around. Thanks to viewers like you, we are now sponsored by BetterHelp. What is BetterHelp? It is the world's largest online counseling platform, and you can get 20% off if you use my link either in chat or checking out all of the links and stuff below my screen right now. I hope that you'll consider checking it out. It is a wonderful platform. With just a few clicks, you can get to the resources that you need. I always talk about the fact that everybody should have a ton of mental health resources at their disposal. Well, this is another one. Of course, it is not for everyone. If you are not feeling so good that you feel like you are going to harm yourself, it's definitely not the best place. to go in that kind of emergency. But otherwise, if you're considering talking to a therapist, if you've never had therapy before, if you're ready to open up, it might be a great place to start. With just a few clicks, they partner you up with a counselor, and if that counselor doesn't work, you can always try another one. You can just let them know, and they will do everything they can to make sure that you have an awesome experience. So I really, really hope that this helps, and thank you so much for sticking around.